South China Morning Post, 28 October 2022. To prevent terrorist sabotage, China's mercenary army and private security companies are working together as Xi Jinping seeks to safeguard foreign investments. Implement her debt trap projects. China has taken control of numerous critical locations in multiple nations. China needs an army abroad to defend its interests to protect these assets. As a result, there is a great deal of animosity toward China and Chinese projects. Following President Xi Jinping's discussion of boosting international security at the 20th Party Congress, many predict that private security companies will play a far more significant role in safeguarding resources associated with China's grandiose Belt and Road Initiative. According to a report published by the Washington-based Jamestown Foundation, a conservative think tank on defense policy, the total market value of all private military or security enterprises worldwide ranges from $100 billion to $244 billion. According to data from the International Data Corporation, a global market intelligence company, which was cited in a 2020 report by the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace think tank, China, Latin America, and Asia-Pacific nations were also anticipated to account for the most significant growth in overseas security spending between 2019 and 2023. According to Paul Nentulia, a research associate at the Africa Center for Strategy Studies in Washington, the development of Chinese overseas security contracting. China's strategic change from maintaining a low profile to asserting global leadership. As a result of the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, the Chinese government is seeking to increase the size of its overseas military presence to safeguard its interests. There will be increased hiring of security firms controlled by former members of the People's Liberation Army and Chinese police to provide security for Chinese state-owned corporations engaged in carrying out the multi-billion-dollar programs of the Belt and Road Initiative, Nentulia stated. However, China will have to contend with enormous hatred and hostility in these colonized countries. According to research from the Peace Research Institute in Frankfurt, investments in the Belt and Road Initiative are disproportionately concentrated in unstable or conflict-ridden regions, including Pakistan, Myanmar, Nigeria, and Sri Lanka. This is China's debt trap tactic covered up as part of their Belt and Road Investment Initiative. They target developing nations experiencing financial crises and will be held accountable for the resolution. In retaliation for what they perceive to be Chinese assistance for the new junta administration, protesters in Yangon set fire to Chinese-owned textile facilities after the 2021 coup in Myanmar, according to Pascal Ab, a China researcher at the German Institute. The existence of the Belt and Road Initiative and conflict environments and the contentiousness of its projects expose them to particular dangers, which generate a natural market for protective services. We will improve our power to maintain overseas security and protect the legitimate rights and interests of Chinese nationals and legal entities abroad, stated Xi during his speech at the 20th Party Congress. Beijing's ambitious infrastructural connection initiative, the Belt and Road Initiative, is easily linked to local unrest along its investment locations. In January, unrest in Kazakhstan, which connects China and Europe, raised worries about how it would affect Chinese businesses and nationals there. A deadly suicide attack that targeted a convoy of Chinese engineers at the port of Gwadar, a crucial point along the China-Pakistan economic corridor, was denounced by the Chinese embassy in Pakistan a few months before, in August 2021. According to Aaron Maguna, a research analyst at the European Foundation for South Asian Studies, the Belt and Road Initiative has created and sustained a market for Chinese private security businesses abroad. China had established several unlawful police stations abroad in violation of international law to monitor and control its citizens. A grave breach of territorial sovereignty has occurred here. He emphasized that these services are also being utilized for safeguarding project-related assets throughout Southeast Asia, with a strong presence in Cambodia. According to data from the Peace Research Institute Oslo, China has more than 4 million people working for more than 5,000 security firms previously affiliated with the People's Liberation Army and the People's Armed Police. Ilaria Karotsa, the senior researcher at the Private Research Center in Norway, noted that around 20 security businesses in China are licensed to operate internationally, and they employ over 3,000 individual contractors, although the real number is likely to be greater. When the Chinese government is unwilling to send the People's Liberation Army abroad, private security firms are well-positioned tools for Beijing to project power, according to a January research by the Washington-based Center for Strategic and International Studies think tank. Senior Chinese officials have been talking for years about the need to strengthen international security, Ab in Frankfurt remarked. According to Ab, Han Fangming has advocated for a supply-side reform of Chinese private security firms at the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. Han, currently in charge of the Chahar Institute think tank in Beijing, urged for the liberalization of private security organizations in China and the creation of joint ventures with regional security companies in a paper from 2015, according to Ab. A systematic low-intensity conflict and attack will have a disastrous effect on Chinese investments abroad if the security is Chinese. According to Rosita Delios, an associate professor of international relations at Bond University in Australia, interest in this type of security is growing globally. Still, China is only beginning to use such services. She continued that private security firms may turn private in an unregulated setting outside China. However, civil-military integration may take place, especially in defending the Belt and Road Initiative's assets from terrorist sabotage. According to Ab, Chinese private security services are lagging their counterparts in the United States and other developed nations. Thus the issue is a lack of acceptability, contacts, and local experience. Zhang Yifan, an economics professor at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, proposed that the Belt and Road Initiative should also be a road of culture and friendship to promote local absorption. He said that China might invest more in preserving its cultural legacy to help counteract backlash from the local populace. China can do more to accommodate the local cultures of these countries, he said. However, this is challenging because Chinese people are incredibly racist and have a hard time blending into foreign cultures, creating resentment and fury. Along with infrastructure investment, Chu Dongcao, head of economics at Lingnan University in Hong Kong, echoed this viewpoint. China should create better people-to-people contacts in the Belt and Road Initiative countries. Xi's 20th Party Congress speech, according to Nantilia from Washington's Africa Center for Strategic Studies, has reaffirmed China's sole national commitment to influence international security rules and practices, especially in the face of outside unhappiness caused by Belt and Road initiatives. He continued, "The Belt and Road Initiative is a flagship international program that may decline but won't vanish. However, the sovereign nation's nationalization of these debt trap projects under national security legislation poses the biggest threat."